The township is on a shutdown after the failure of the mayor, Tania Campbell, to attend a community meeting on Friday. At least 2 people have been shot dead, allegedly by the police. The angry residents want, among others, a flat rate of electricity billing. A truck was torched on the R21 highway. Municipal officers have also now been set alight. All right, let's then cross to our reporter, Mbalenhle Mthethwa, who is in Tembisa for us and has indeed been covering the story for us throughout the day. Very good afternoon to you, Mbalenhle. Let's talk about the situation now and whether or not, has the situation indeed calmed. I do see that there's, higher security presence, and indeed I heard you speaking to the EMPD, and they were talking about the fact that they'd like this to be addressed, the issue of the 2 people that have been killed, and that they want to see accountability. But I can imagine that on the ground, there's really a lot more anger in terms of the fact that 2 people were killed.
Certainly, Flo, there is a lot of anger. So where we are at a different location where Ekurhuleni Mayor Tania Campbell is meeting with community members and community leaders rather, and it remains to be seen if this meeting that's happening behind closed doors is going to bring about a resolution or an end to the protest action that continues as we speak in the community. Even though it might seem quiet where we are, the protest action continues. Angry residents are still up in arms in the streets, burning tires, and many of them have been there since the early hours of late last night. This, we understand that they started protesting from as early as yesterday and not necessarily from as early as 4 a.m. this morning. But what seems to be quite interesting is that the community leaders who are here form part of the Tembisa Forum, which distanced itself from the protest action that was taking place today. It seemed as though it was one of those faceless protests where community members who were really angry and frustrated decided to take to the streets. At the heart of this, as we know, is a decision by the city of Ekurhuleni to remove what the MMC for Finance has described as a blanket approach, where basic services such as electricity and water, 100 megawatts of electricity as well as 6 kiloliters of water free water will no longer be given to all residents, but will only be reserved for those who are registered as indigents. Community members were really unhappy over this because this means that they pay more in terms of rates, and this is the reason why they have embarked on the shutdown that we see taking place. I've just gotten word that they are about to wrap up that meeting that just took place. We're not sure if the community members who are inside will be able to quell what the tensions, or rather the protest action that's been going on since late last night.
All right, Mbalenhle Mthethwa for us.
Actually, I'm going to be joined by...
Continue,
I'm so sorry, Flo. I'm so sorry. I was handing over to you, but I realize now that I have a guest, and this is it's the executive mayor. She's actually on her way here. She's walking towards me, and she will give us an update as to how the meetings have unfolded between residents and the city. Now, you do understand we will... Okay. Thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. How have the meetings unfolded inside? Is there an end to, are you able to meet each other as the 2 parties here?
Yes, we have come to a conclusion, myself and the chairperson and the committee themselves as well, with some of my MMCs here today. We are taking it forward with a public meeting that will happen on Friday. However, there are instances where the chairperson himself has alluded to problems, and the committee-specific problems which are going to be attended to, and the community will be assisted. But there are also, where it comes to blanket demands that the city themselves cannot not just afford, but cannot introduce blanket charges or blanket relief. We do have relief policies in place that we've just brought in, the debt relief policy. We have set up a system where we will be able to assist individuals specifically with their problems as well. But I must say, and I do commend the committee, because their interest is for the community. There are certain elements that have come about, external elements, that has tainted their representation to the community, which is not good. Every community should have a voice, but when you've got external elements like what has happened today with riots, 2 lives lost, that is unacceptable. And it also disregards the Tembisa Community Forum on what they are trying to achieve for their community as well.
Now, are you going to be going back to the community to give them a report back of what has come out of this meeting? And do you still represent the community, given the fact that you distanced yourself from the protest action a little bit earlier today?
Yeah, no, we still represent the community. We may have distanced ourselves from the protest, but not from the community. We still represent the community. And as the mayor was explaining, we've come to an agreement to say when we go back to the community, the mayor will meet the community halfway by coming to the community on Friday. So as of now, we'll go back and give the community feedback, but this particular platform assists us in getting that message across to the community as well.
Okay. And in terms of, Mayor, we've heard you talking about a blanket approach and the fact that you cannot keep using a blanket approach in terms of the relief measures. And you know that many of the residents who have come out here or who are protesting right now are angry over the fact that they no longer have access to those free basic electricity or services. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, and that's where the blanket approach is so dangerous, because people who can afford for electricity, can afford for water, were actually getting free basic services. Those free basic services are meant for the poor of the poor. They are meant for people who cannot afford services, not people who can afford it, and people who are taking advantage of not paying their electricity when they can be paying for their electricity or they can be paying for their services. And therefore it's very important to make sure that when you give relief, you're giving relief to the people who need it, and those are the people who actually need that assistance, the poor of the poor. It doesn't help giving a blanket approach, because the people who can afford it then are basically taking away much needed resources that will assist the poor within our communities.
Mayor, do you think that the protest action is an indication of the fact that many in the townships cannot afford?
I think a lot of it has to do with that, but a lot of it, protest action, is also to destabilise the new coalition government, to destabilise Ekurhuleni, and we have taken a total stance that we will not sit back and let this happen, because then again, if you let this happen, it disregards the communities that actually need those assistance. We just heard today of the community customer care centre that was burned down. Now, that is resources taken away, where we now have to find those resources to be able to assist the communities again. That type of volatile approach should never be condoned. People's lives should never be condoned. It is as simple as that. When we work with communities like we did today, we then come up with plausible solutions that can assist the community. It was also, I was saying, it's irresponsible to say the mayor will be here and the mayor will be there, because I have a city. I can't be there every time. When we come up with approaches like we did today, where it's coordinated, and I will be there to address with specifics to the community, that is when you reach agreements with the community. That is when you know what to give your communities. But to have situations like today that spiral totally out of control is just not, it's not acceptable to the community, to their lives, and to us who are running a city.
And many of the people, many of the residents we spoke to said that the reason the protests escalated to what we're seeing today is because you were not able to appear on Friday. How do you feel about those kind of sentiments?
Yes, again, like I say, on Friday was never for me to be there. It was a feedback from my executive, who's the MMCs. They represent me. I cannot be everywhere. So when there is a meeting, my MMCs go and they give feedback to the communities. Their feedback is from me, from us as a city, as an executive member. That is what you are charged to do. But what has also come out very clearly is that the councillors in the respective wards are not having their community meetings. They are not having their ward committee meetings. So the frustration, a lot of the frustration from community members are also not knowing where to go, how to get the help, where to get the help. And that is a councillor's responsibility, is to be on the ground. Again, a councillor is the voice of a council, of a city, of a municipality, and they were voted in by community members to assist them. However, these type of situations and frustrations are getting to a boiling point because no ward committees are being held, no feedback meetings are being held by councillors. It starts from the bottom up, and they need to start working with the metros, working with the city, and working with the communities.
2 people have died allegedly at the hands of police. What sort of investigations are going to go into these cases, and what sort of consequence management are we going to see should, the investigations find that, the police were at fault?
Yes, excuse me. I've already spoken to the Chief of Police. There will be investigations, and once those investigations are concluded, can we only then address consequence management? Because it is a sad situation. I send my condolences not only to those families but also to the community themselves, because again, like I say, what happened today should never have happened, because the Tembisa Community Forum is not a forum that is violent. They want resolutions there for their communities. However, what transpired today was external forces changing it into a violent and volatile situation, and that is just not accepted and not condoned by myself as the mayor or as a coalition.
Was live ammunition used? Do you have any information in this regard?
Unfortunately, I cannot answer that, as I don't have a report on that.
There's one call. I'd like to open this to the floor. Yes.
Mayor Campbell from ENC. I just want to know what happens if this protest goes through the whole week.
Okay, Mbalenhle, I'm from Voice of Tembisa. I just wanted to know, the memorandum is not the first one that you receive, as you spoke about you sending your team. I think it's the second memorandum that you receive, and it seems like you don't even know what is the memorandum intends.
Everson. Okay, sure.
Just to start with yourself, the memorandum, I'm very well aware what's in there. I'm a mayor who is in touch with what is happening with the city. There have been meetings in my office with my staff, with the Tembisa Community Forum. Again, on Friday, meetings did not take place as they should have, because a lot of answers are answers that are maybe not desirable. But we're also not there to lie to communities. We have to come up with solutions for them. So I'm very, very well aware of Memorandum 1 and 2 and what the contents is. Regarding the unrest in the city for the next week, the SAP and EMPD will be working together. The Commissioner SABC Commissioner of the province is also going to be...
All right, that's our reporter in Tembisa, Mbalenhle Mthethwa, there speaking to the mayor, Tania Campbell, of course, who's been having conversations with community leaders of Tembisa on the back of those protests where 2 people were indeed killed. I think there'll be more on this then on the Full View, who